Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of
Nate, you're on frame.
What do you want me to do, Ann? You want me to sit on his lap? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Cinema Buffs. Today we will be reviewing the comedy...
Dennis, stop mouthing Nate's words.
Am I still doing that?
Yes.
Dude! Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Cinema Buffs. Today we'll be... Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Cinema...
Dude, can we please go back to the garage?
Yeah, I could use a beer.
Let's do it.
Alright.
Yeah,
That's better.
let's do it. Hey guys, I'm Dennis Stack,
And I'm Nate Fischer.
and welcome to another episode of Cinema Buffs. And today we're going to be bringing you our review of the new comedy Keanu.
Key Peele had their show on Comedy Central, and that's over now, so they've switched over to Major Motion Pictures. And this is their very first comedy, and Dennis, why don't you get us started with the review here?
Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the show Key Peele. I
Sure.
think it's funny, just fine. Just not something I really ever got into.
Yeah.
I think the actors, though, Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key, I think they're great.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like little bit roles and other people's stuff and everything. So I had middle expectations for this movie, but I really liked it. I thought it was pretty funny, and I just thought the plot. It's kind of by the numbers, and nothing too surprising
No.
happening there. But the comedy was there throughout, and the jokes landed.
Right, the plot facilitates the comedy, that's all. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be this detailed plot or anything. I do agree with you, though. I like Key and Peele. I've seen the show a few times here and there, and everything I've seen I like, but the one thing this movie showcases is that you cannot deny the chemistry between Key and Peele.
Oh,
they
no.
just are, there's such a good match, such a good comedy match, and not one outweighs the other. They are equals, in my opinion, when it comes to comedy delivery, personalities, whatever. There's not one that you like more than the other. I don't think they steal each other's shows, ever.
I think the comedy really hits. Comedy's very subjective, so if you don't like Key and Peele, you're not going to like this movie.
Agreed. It's like a very, very long Key and Peele skit, almost.
Yeah, almost. They don't skit too far away from the comedy that they had in their show.
Right.
With a lot of race humor in here.
Tons of race humor. That's something I wanted to touch base on. Was I really loved the they sort of blew out the whole stereotypes of races, of stereotypes of black people and white people, how they act, and
Right.
they are the most suburban sort of pampered
Yeah, middle
class.
Right.
They have families, they drive nice cars. And if you don't know, they wrote this movie when John Wick was coming out, is what I was reading about.
Oh,
They
okay.
saw John Wick, they wrote this movie. It's kind of based on that, which obviously the cat's name is Keanu. Keanu Reeves stars in John Wick.
Right.
But what did you think of Keanu the cat?
Oh, Keanu the cat. Oh, it was adorable. Yeah.
It's such an adorable kitten.
Oh yeah, and it's it's adorable to the point where it's like, yeah, I would go through all this crazy shit just to get my cat back. if it had
Exactly.
that little cat.
Yeah, but they throw this super little kitten in these explosive action scenes with this gunfire, cocaine exploding, the cat's in slow motion running around, and it's really entertaining to see this little kitten. Even when it meows, it's super endearing, and you actually care about this little kitten. You want them to get the cat back.
Right.
For sure.
And I think that also is just it speaks volumes about Key and Peele's chemistry together, and their characters you invest in. They're flawed. They got their own personal things going on, so you want to see them make it through.
Yeah.
Especially with all the craziness, this crazy crime and drug-filled world they
Right.
immerse themselves in to get this cat back.
Yeah. So let's talk about the comedy a little bit. For me, I thought that the jokes were well set up. They had a lot of jokes that were set up earlier in the film, and then they sort of paid off towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
I like those kind of jokes where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, they're
Little
sort of-
callbacks to the
Yeah.
first joke in the
But one thing I thought was underutilized was the cameos. I want to see what you thought about the cameos of this movie. There's no spoilers. They're in the trailer for the most part. At least
Right.
the two big ones.
Right.
So, which is Will Forte.
Yeah, Will Forte.
We're both very big fans of Will Forte.
Yes, huge fans of Will Forte. So to have him in this movie, especially the character that he's playing, right from the setup to the introduction of his character, when Peele says he needs to go see his weed dealer, and it's right next door to his
the house across, right across the driveway is his weed dealer, and it's Will Forte. And I like Will Forte and everything he does for the most part. I felt like he was underutilized in this movie. I think that they didn't give him that much, and his character, to me, didn't get the big laughs. I didn't think he was that funny. I was a little disappointed, almost, with him.
Yeah, I mean, I was just laughing because it was Will Forte, and it's just seeing him.
The novelty alone.
Right. But I did like Method Man.
Method Man was great.
Yeah, as the villain, Cheddar.
To me, I felt that they used them using the... you could tell that these are black men that don't use the N-word very often. So when they do use it off the bat, it's shocking, it's pretty funny. I felt like they used it too much. I felt like they wore that out. They just kept using it over and over again, and it was a little too much for me. I was like, okay, we get it. They're not used to saying it, and now they're saying it. But for me, it wore a little thin, personally. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I was starting to get like, all right, this bit might be getting a little bit tired for me, but then they broke away from it. And then, that's when the rest of the movie took off.
Right.
And that was kind of one of the parts that bugged me about this movie. One of the few things that did was the pacing. It was a little sluggish. I feel like some scenes dragged out a little bit too long.
Some scenes just weren't that funny.
Right. And then the scenes that, even the ones that were funny, I feel like those were a little long because they stuffed all the jokes into those ones.
Yeah.
And then still these other scenes they just dragged out.
What I did like is that there was consequences for their actions.
Yeah.
They get into some
It wasn't
stuff.
they get away scot free and it's a happy ending.
Right. They're just there's actually a moment where it's like, oh yeah, we did a ton of terrible stuff. We have to pay for this. Like they just acknowledge it. So it was very self-aware in that sense. But let's put a number on this thing, shall we?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I had a good time. I laughed. I mean, I can't say I laughed my head off throughout the whole thing, but it's definitely a good time in the movies, and it had me smiling throughout. And like I said, there's a few problems, but nothing too bothersome. So I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, we're in agreement. Just once again since the Jungle Books, but I think a 7 is a valid number for this movie for sure. Yeah. Which it definitely passes as a comedy.
Oh, for sure.
So it's recommended. It has its flaws, but I think Key Peele only can get better from here on out. Alright guys, well there you have it. That's our review of Keanu. Please let us know in the comments below what you thought of Keanu, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate all the support for sure.
Yeah, but before we leave you, in honor of it being May 4th, Star Wars Day, may the 4th be with you, Nate.
May the 4th be with you, Dennis.
So we want to announce our winner of the Star Wars The Force Awakens Blu-ray DVD combo. And the winner is...
Steve Timmy! Congratulations, Steve Timmy.
Yeah, we'll be getting your contact information, Steve, and we'll be sending this brand new Blu-ray DVD combo to you. Yeah. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't seen it, what's the matter with you? Watch it now.
And watch it again after you watch it, because it's amazing. Yeah. Also, don't forget, next week we will be reviewing Captain America Civil War. I'm so incredibly excited. This is my #1 most anticipated movie of the year. So we'll be reviewing that next week.
Yeah. And don't forget, there's no place like the theater.
Thanks, guys.